across the area tonight. Let's get you over to our First Alert weather headlines. More rain in the forecast, and yeah, that does include that chance for some pop-ups this evening. Higher rain chances by Friday and less humid weather for this weekend. A little bit drier weather on the way. You look at the radar and you look at this and you think, well, not a lot happening out there and not expecting much, but what's going to happen here over the next few hours? We could see some additional pop-ups across the area, but also see these storms back over Mississippi. This is tracking to the east, moving fairly quickly, and some of this is going to be moving into the area. If we look at the next 60 minutes, you can see there in the parts of Marion County. I want to give you that first alert for some rain. We had one storm that moved over Double Springs in Winston County, tracked over towards Battleground and places like Jones Chapel and Coleman County. 80 degrees though by 7. It's temperatures and the model data lining up nicely here. You can see by 8 o'clock in the 70s, but notice the rain chance later on tonight actually goes up, and that's because we are seeing a lot of data that supports the possibility of some overnight showers and storms in the morning. A little bit of fog around most areas, should be dry in the morning, and then we get into the afternoon and there could be some more scattered pop-up thunderstorms starting around lunchtime. What to expect tomorrow? Most of that wet weather, it looks to be more favorable along and north of I-20. Some of those pop-ups, unlike today, it seems like today the wet weather, it's getting started a little bit later. Tomorrow starts a little bit earlier in the day. We'll see around 10, 11 o'clock that possibility of some of those pop-ups. We had a little bit of rain earlier today down in the southern part of the coverage area, but right now we're starting to see some more of those scattered storms. Look at the forecast wind speeds for tomorrow. You can see those winds back. It was kind of gusty at times today. Winds out of the southwest gusting over 15 miles per hour, and kind of breezy again for tomorrow. We could have some of those wind gusts out of the west-southwest at about 5 to 15. First alert, rain chances go up Friday. That's because we have a cold front coming. That's going to be the next big thing. And we could see a line of strong to severe storms west of us by late Thursday. And as those storms get closer to Alabama on Friday, overnight Thursday, Friday morning, they're probably going to weaken. But we still could see 1 or 2 strong to severe storms across our far western counties as that moves in. But we're going to have a higher rain chance. That's going to leave us with some improvements for the weekend. We're going to talk a lot more about that coming up. Right now, I want to show you where a lot of severe weather has been happening across the country. Some tornado video coming out of Kansas, and just look at the you could hear the outdoor warning sirens there. We've seen so many images and video like this from parts of Tornado Alley. This particular driver got up and close and personal. This was the tornado touchdown in Kansas Friday night, but you can see just how large it is there from that spotter perspective. It brought obviously damaging winds, the lightning, large hail. There was all modes of severe weather happening as these storms moved through. You can see the condensation funnel really picking up that debris, and many times when you see a tornado like this, if you see the funnel, we can report a funnel cloud, but it's not technically a tornado until it's actually in contact with the ground. That's what a tornado is, violent column of rotating air in contact with the ground. But obviously you can see it's making contact. You see that debris cloud being kicked up like that. That is a very, very mean looking tornado, and that's extending down from the what we call the wall cloud and the updraft region of the storm there. But a lot of severe weather happening. I remember chasing out in the Great Plains during this time of the year. Typically you get into May. This is when we see that severe weather season, or at least the primary tornado season, start to kind of shift into the central part of the country, and we've been seeing a lot of those videos. But all that stormy weather, it starts to transition east, but it loses some of its energy. But that's going to be kind of related to some of those changes we're going to deal with later on this week, and we're going to have more on that coming up. Let's talk about what's on the way here on First Alert Weather Extra as we continue. We've got the Super 7-day, but we go beyond the 7-day, and an update on the pollen forecast and how do thunderstorms form. You know, we're talking about these pop-up storms these days, and we're going to hear a lot more about pop-up storms. We're going to check in and learn a little bit more about the thunderstorm formation. Lots to come here. Stay with us on First Alert Weather Extra. The next big thing gives you a heads up days ahead of the next big storm system. The next 24 gives you the most accurate and updated look at tomorrow. And the next 60 gives you a 60-minute advantage against Mother Nature. Knowing what's next, days, hours, or minutes away, this is why we First Alert.
When we declare First Alert Weather Day, it's all hands on deck. We're on your side and in your hand with the First Alert Weather app. While Wes and the rest of the team track changes moment to moment, the app keeps you prepared and safe with video and alerts for your neighborhood. And if the power goes out, no worries, you can stream us anywhere. It's easy and it's always on. Stay ahead of Alabama weather. Just scan and tap and have the First Alert weather app. This is why we First Alert.
On Good Day Alabama, we treat severe weather with the highest priority. It's more than just meteorologists. Everyone plays a part. Having more reporters in more places takes you beyond the First Alert, showing you the impact that we see on radar. We're live in your neighborhood when you need us. On air, online, and on the app. That's the advantage of having the most reporters on your side. That's the advantage of Good Day Alabama.
Our lives revolve around planning for what's next, like the next ball game.
One hot dog with ketchup? It's the same with weather. That's why we're on your side with the next big thing, the next 60, and the next 24. Knowing what's next, days, hours, or minutes away.
This is why we First Alert. Who puts ketchup on a hot dog?
Getting live breaking news and local updates has never been easier. That's because we're on your side with the WBRC streaming app. Need updates between newscasts? You can catch up quick here. And when we're live on TV, we're live here too. Just search WBRC on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV. WBRC Fox 6 News is on your side.
Well, the White House has declared this hurricane preparedness week. You know, we're about a month out. We had the Pacific hurricane season that comes in later in May and then in the month of June. And I believe we have some video to roll. We're getting ready for hurricane season here coming up, and that's because the water temperatures, they reach that critical threshold to where we have waters warm enough to support the development of tropical systems. You know, here recently, and starting in 2005, we ran out of names, and I know we've had some very active hurricane seasons here over the past few years. It's been incredibly active, and we just retired Ida, the other I-named tropical system, and typically, you know, this time of the year, you know, we start to prepare for what's to come, but it's mostly when you see the more active hurricane conditions, it's typically in August, and you know, you get into September, that's when you get into the peak of the hurricane season. I want to step in or check in with meteorologist Lauren Linehan right now. Lauren, you've been also monitoring the forecast for the upcoming hurricane season. We were just talking about the Colorado State forecast came out, but we're waiting on the NOAA forecast. It looks like it could be another active season.
Yeah, Wes, almost just seems inevitable these days that we could have an above average hurricane season. But, you know, we can sit here and spit out numbers for you all day long, but how that's what the White House is wanting us to be equipped with as we inch closer and closer to June 1st. Of course, since when does Mother Nature ever care what a calendar says? We've certainly seen tropical systems develop in May. So the big thing with hurricane preparedness is to determine your risk. Now, you know, most of us live here in central Alabama, right? So we're well inland from where the worst impacts from a hurricane would be felt along the coast. But we know that on the east side of hurricanes in that northeast quadrant, as it comes inland, there's very much a possibility that you could see those spin up tornadoes. We can get flooding rainfall from these systems and strong winds. Of course, storm surge and rip currents are going to be more confined to the coast. But let's say you're on vacation or you have a house down by the coast. One thing to prepare is that you have an evacuation plan, whether you're on vacation or if you have tenants down there. When you rent out your house, you've got to have that evacuation plan in place and know what that evacuation route is, that you have a go bag for supplies. Just like when we prepare for tornado warnings here, you want to prepare if you're down by the coast and have a situation where you need to evacuate. Of course, always plan for your pets. You know, we want to make sure those animals are taken care of here on the First Alert Team, and that you have several routes to go to. You know, typically when you're driving down to the beach or when you're driving back from the beach, actually, you'll see those signs that say hurricane evacuation route. But one of the big reasons that people need to evacuate when there is a hurricane coming in along the coast is the threat of storm surge. And we talk about that a lot. You know, we think around here tornadoes being so deadly, but actually when you think about tropical systems, the deadliest part of them is solely the force of water. And that's what storm surge is. It's that rise of the sea level, that general inland push of the water. So you think about where the sea level is on a normal day, but when you get these really powerful winds with a tropical system, system in excess of a tropical system in excess of 39 miles per hour, and then with an actual hurricane in excess of 74 miles per hour, you're going to be seeing that water being lifted. So depending on how powerful those winds are, you could see a storm surge of 3 feet. So water is more elevated than it would be otherwise, or if you get really powerful winds, storm surge of 6 feet. Remember, this isn't just happening on the ocean. This is all moving inland. It's that inland push of water, so that can cause major flooding issues. That's why for folks who live along the coast, they have to really be mindful of what these storm surge forecasts are. Now, of course, that's not an issue for us here in central Alabama. We're far inland, but Wes, we would well know around here that we can have even just tropical storms, tropical depressions come through, and they still end up spinning up tornadoes or causing damaging winds or even flooding if a system parks out and doesn't move that much.
Yeah, that's right, Warren. We've had some big time tropical systems move through here. Massive power outages, trees down, Katrina, Opal, so many. Frederick, that's another one that moved through. But also during hurricane season, that's one of the things we have to watch out for, and those tornadoes as well that can spin up as those things move inland. We're going to be prepared and certainly keeping you updated on the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season. The Pacific hurricane season starts in late May, but we'll see that Atlantic hurricane season on June the 1st. But we're tracking some storms back over Mississippi. Those are going to be moving into Alabama. You're going to hear us talking a lot about storms. You know, it is a daily routine around here during the summertime. You get the heating of the day. You get storms. It's kind of like whack-a-mole. These storms start popping up in several areas. But just what goes into storm formation? What are some of those key ingredients? Well, Matt Daniel has a great explainer.
All right, it is May. We're getting close to those summer months. We've already had some pop-up storms recently, so let's talk about the basics. How do thunderstorms form? And usually in the summertime, you just get the heating of the day. So naturally, the sun's going to heat the earth during the day. The ground gets warmer, and eventually we start to see some clouds form thanks to a little humidity. So what happens, you have a little warm air parcel, it rises and it cools as they go up into the air, and eventually moisture gets squeezed out, and that's how we start to see clouds form. So usually you'll see those cumulus clouds. They look like those puffy balls in the air, cotton balls, and eventually they start to get larger and larger, and they get darker, and eventually they become rainmakers. So how do those thunderstorms form exactly? Well, we have one stage. Like I said, cumulus stage is initially what happens. Those fair weather clouds, you'll see them a lot during those summer months, and eventually they start to grow in size, and these clouds start to really get a lot of they get taller and taller into the atmosphere, and eventually you get that warm air moving into the system, and eventually it starts to produce some rain, and then eventually just sort of rains itself out, and it finally goes into a dissipating stage. So let's just put these all together to show you how it works. You get the heating of the earth, clouds begin to form, and then eventually you get those updrafts helping to build those storms, and eventually those downdrafts that give you that heavy rainfall and those gusty winds. And of course, when it comes to those summertime storms, the main threats are usually going to be heavy rainfall, some gusty winds, and maybe some large hail, but that's usually about it. There's not a lot of spin in the atmosphere in those pop-up storms, so that's why we usually don't see a tornado threat in these summer months. The only time we typically see a tornado threat during the summer months is if there's a tropical system impacting us. And of course, once it rains itself out, the storm becomes a little bit weaker, and then it sort of just falls apart. That's why these storms are literally like popcorn. They pop up in random spots, and they only last maybe 20 to 30 minutes, but sometimes they can pack a punch. So make sure you monitor the WBRC First Alert weather app. And we're going to have more of this, I'm sure, over the next several months.
And we're tracking some wet weather right now on radar. We'll be back to talk about the chance for storms tonight and the rest of the week. Your forecast after the break.
Every morning on Good Day Alabama, we know the news that matters the most to you is the news that hits closest to home.
And we know that to tell the best story means going to where the story is. That's why having more reporters in more places is so essential.
Giving you more local stories that impact your family, your school, and your safety.
On air, online, and on the app.
That's the advantage of having the most reporters on your side. That's the advantage of Good Day Alabama.
I hear from people all the time with questions about healthcare, their insurance, and the safety of certain treatments. I'm Morgan Hightower, and I investigate these stories because if I were being taken advantage of, or if my family couldn't get the help they needed, I would want to know how to take action. That's why WBRC Fox 6 News investigates. We're on your side, getting answers, keeping you informed and safe. Contact us when you need a team on your side.
Get pinpoint locations down to your street level on the First Alert Weather app. You can download by searching WBRC in your app store. That's accuracy you can plan on.
I hear from people all the time having problems with their landlord or worry about being ripped off by a bad business. I'm Josh Gann, and I investigate stories like these because if I had questions about protecting my finances or how to save more money, I would want the best advice available. That's why WBRC Fox 6 News investigates. We're on your side getting answers, keeping you informed and safe. Contact us when you need a team on your side.
Get First Alert weather and breaking news. Follow us on Twitter. Search at WBRC News.
Get First Alert weather and breaking news. Follow us on Facebook. Search at WBRC News.
Well, we're still looking pretty good on radar. If you have some plans here over the next hour, not seeing a lot, but model data still telling us later on tonight there's a chance even as late as midnight we could have some noisemakers out there, some storms. I want to point out there's some storms around the Tupelo area, and the models are bringing this into northwestern areas. So some of these storms are going to hold together. There's actually a little pocket of colder air aloft that's going to be rotating across the state. So that's why after sunset, that's going to kind of enhance the lift out there. Keep some of these storms going through the evening hours. But let's walk you through the forecast data. This is from what we call the HRRR model, High Resolution Rapid Refresh model. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but when you look at this, it's doing a pretty good job on handling that stormy weather that's over Mississippi. You can see it brings that in through 8, 9 o'clock into Marion, Fayette, Pickens, into Walker County, perhaps some pop-ups, and kind of follow that along. 11 o'clock shows maybe some additional development in towards Gadsden, Glencoe, Hoax Bluff, Ball Play area. Giving you that first alert, Jefferson County, maybe around Gardendale and places like Warrior Lake tonight. You may hear rumble. Even looks like maybe a pop-up around Northport and Coker there over in Tuscaloosa County. But here's what's interesting. I was noticing some of the new updates here. Still hold on to that possibility of maybe a storm after midnight. You know, what happens here sometimes is you get these storms, they move in, and especially late at night, they'll leave these little boundaries out there which can further enhance storm development. So kind of like a mini front here, perhaps something that may sustain some of this wet weather and keep it going past midnight. We could see some storms and maybe you hear some rumbles through Anniston there during the early morning hours. I'm not really expecting any organized severe weather. We're just thinking here that there's a possibility maybe 1 or 2 stronger storms, intense lightning, and some gusty winds with those. A lot of rumbles. That's going to be one of the big impacts, along with some heavier rain if we do see those storms. Again, this is model guidance, but it's just telling us that the possibility is certainly there later on tonight. So tomorrow we get to lunchtime, and notice 80s, dry expected for tomorrow, but I was looking at some of the data from yesterday and today and comparing both, and it still seems like tomorrow we're going to see some more scattered storms, probably see more development during the afternoon compared to what we saw today. A lot of what we're going to see today, most of the rain's probably going to come in this evening, but notice tomorrow afternoon showing near and north of I-20. Kind of a favorable zone for tomorrow, perhaps some storms there popping up later in the day. But it's getting into that time of the year where we deal with a lot of scattered random pop-up showers and storms, but we can kind of regionalize, know some areas that are more favorable for some of those storms. And we've been watching to the west. We showed you some of that tornado video earlier. Well, that severe weather is starting to shift later on this week. Notice by Thursday, Nation's Storm Prediction Center, they now have a level 3 enhanced risk for severe weather that includes a delta of Mississippi back across the Mississippi River Valley. Here at home, when you look at Thursday, you see there is a marginal risk for for severe weather that includes West Alabama. Bottom line here, we're going to see some storms develop, probably what we call an MCS, a big cluster of storms back to the west. That's going to be moving in late Thursday night and into Friday. As it moves in, I think the timing of the day is going to help us out. Early Friday morning is going to be in a weakening stage as it moves into Alabama. But some of those storms may still be strong enough where we could end up with some gusty winds. The risk for an isolated tornado is always there, but I think the wind threat, the hail threat, that's going to be one of the big stories there early Friday morning. And then as that continues on to the east, we'll see improvements behind the storms on Friday. Timing wise, this is what some of the data looks like. This is from our in-house Barron model, I believe, but it shows 10 a.m. on Friday. Last night, some of the data was showing maybe this arriving after midnight Thursday night, but we'll have to watch the radar trends, keep an eye on this. I think Friday during the morning, we'll start to see those impacts and then moving on through East Alabama. So if you have Friday night plans, looks like this moves on out of here. Question mark for the weekend is how far south does this go? There's a chance that front may try to stall out in areas to the south, so we included a small 10% chance of a shower on Saturday. I still think most of the weekend's looking pretty good for Mother's Day weekend. 79 on Saturday. Overnight lows a little bit cooler, but we see those dew points take a bit of a dive this weekend, so feeling less muggy, a bit more crisp feel. Sunday afternoon, highs around 84 degrees. And one of the next big things for next week, it looks like some drier air is going to be on the way, and that may set the stage for highs nearing 90 degrees by the middle of next week. I want to bring in meteorologist Jill Gilardi. Jill, one of the things I was noticing some of the long-range data, the GFS, the European model was showing maybe a low-pressure system, what we call retrograding or maybe moving back in from the Atlantic perhaps around Wednesday or Thursday of next week. What kind of data are you seeing there? How will that impact rain chances?
Well, I'll get to that. Let's talk about the heat, though. You were talking about those hot temperatures going into next week. Well, beyond the 7-day, it looks like that above normal trend is going to continue. So let's take a look at some of those predicted high temperatures beyond the 7-day. We're looking at, again, the normal line, 79. That's where we should be normally this time of year. All of those numbers are well above that, and we have some days where it is definitely very close to the 90-degree mark, if not well into the 90s. So it does look hot not only during the day, but even at night. Those low temperatures, which should be in the mid to upper 50-degree range, 57 every single day, at least for now, shows above normal temperatures at night and during the day. So looking beyond the 7-day at future precipitation, I know Wes was talking about a low pressure system retrograding. There you can see it kind of backing in on us, little hints of maybe a little bit of rain, but really it doesn't look too impressive with the rain chance forecast here. And I stopped it on the 16th. That looks like the next chance for maybe a front to move in, but you get into this time of year and you just don't see a lot of those cold fronts actually making their way through, so that may or may not really do much for us, but we can always hope that we get some rain in the future. And last but not least, the outlook 8 to 14 days out in terms of precipitation. The Climate Prediction Center says, we're going to be close to normal looking long range. So a lot to keep an eye on, but certainly looks like the heat is going to be building, and those rain chances next week, Wes, look to be backing off, at least initially.
All right, Jill, we'll be watching the long range. Some hot weather in that forecast. Someone messaged me, said, hey, I saw on the weather app you guys had 90 degrees for next week. So,
yep, it's coming.
It's coming. We've entered the home stretch. All right, we're going to be talking about the heat, of course, coming up, and updating you on what's happening on the radar. Plus, updating you on the pollen forecast. Have we seen the last of the tree pollen? Well, we'll check in on that coming up next with Mickey. Stay with us.
Getting live breaking news and local updates has never been easier. That's because we're on your side with the WBRC streaming app. Need updates between newscasts? You can catch up quick here. And when we're live on TV, we're live here too, giving you more ways to get caught up with everything happening where you live. Plus, exclusive videos from your First Alert weather team. It's easy to use and it's free. Just search WBRC on your Roku, Amazon Fire, or Apple TV. WBRC Fox 6 News is on your side.
You've got enough to worry about every day. That's why the First Alert Weather Team is on your side, so you can plan with confidence and take the worry out of weather. With exclusive First Alert AccuTrack, we pinpoint storms before they arrive. And with Weather Every 6, you are always informed. Alabama's weather changes fast. but we're working even faster, updating and alerting you first. We know your plans are important. This is why we First Alert.
Every morning on Good Day Alabama, we're on your side trying to get you where you're going safely. First Alert Traffic updates you on slowdowns and gives you alternate routes. Having more reporters covering the roads you drive on gives you even more info to help you know more about why it happened and when it will be cleared. On air, online, and on the app. That's the advantage of having the most reporters on your side. That's the advantage of Good Day Alabama.
I get calls and emails all the time from people wanting to know how cities, counties, and the state are spending their tax dollars. I'm Jennifer Horton, and I investigate how your tax dollars are being used because I don't want your money or mine wasted or fraudulently spent by politicians in power. That's why WBRC Fox 6 News investigates. We're on your side, following the paper trail, asking the tough questions, and giving you the facts. Contact us when you need a team on your side.
Well, time for a weather app photo of the day, and this comes in from Pickens County, Alabama, Carrollton, Alabama, in fact. Jody Nolan sharing this. Towering cumulus clouds. Seen a lot of photos like this over the past couple of days, and we're going to see more of these towering storms. You know, summer is right around the corner when you start seeing afternoons with sky photos like this. And speaking of summer being around the corner, what's the deal with the pollen as we kind of enter the stretch here through May? Let's check in for an update with Mickey Ferguson.
Hey, let's take a look at our pollen forecast, and I know a lot of you have been sneezing. I've had some watery eyes myself. The tree pollen, it's at a medium ranking right now for oak, hickory, juniper trees. As far as the grass is concerned, the pollen count is down just a little bit. So we do have our sneeze meter, and it gets up to be pretty high tomorrow, but then we've got the chance of rain coming through, and that kind of washes things away for a few days, but then we get into the weekend, and we're close to a high pollen count again. So as far as watering your flowers and those things around the house, you probably need to get out there tomorrow, or excuse me, Thursday. But then on Friday, we've got a good chance of rain in the morning, so they take a little break from watering the grass and the yard. But get back out there again this weekend. Hey, look for my wife grew. This is a clematis, I think. She got it on like the sales rack, the discontinued rack at one of those big stores, you know. But she planted it, and things are going great. She's got a green thumb. I kill everything I even look at, plant-wise. Hey, here is a way to submit your photos. Scroll down to the bottom of our First Alert weather app. You'll see where to submit those, and you can share, you know, some weather pictures, sunrise, sunsets, or your own clematis with your own green thumbs. Just keep those plants away from me.
Need to help Mickey there with growing some tomatoes. Maybe Mickey could use a couple tips there from our gardeners out there. All right, AccuTrack radar. We got storms tracking across Mississippi around the Tupelo area, moving towards Marion County. Here's one more look at the 7-day forecast, and I'm still thinking later this week. If you checked in with Lauren over the weekend, Jill today, you know, we're talking Friday is the day with the higher rain chance, and not much change there. Weekend's still looking pretty good. And temperature-wise, we'll cool off a bit this weekend, but the heat, it comes right back next week. We'll talk more about the 7-day forecast. Be sure to check in with us. We're probably going to have some storms we're tracking tonight at 9, 9:30, and 10 on WBRC Fox 6 News.